Okay, with me, I have two special guests right now. I have Miss Danielle Walker, Delegate Danielle Walker. She out of Monongalia County, out of the District 51. And I have Sean Hornbuckle. He is out of District 16, out of Cabell and Lincoln County. Folks, how you all doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yes, definitely doing well. Been a bit of a long day, a lot of different issues buzzing around, but nothing too big that Danny and I can't handle.
Okay. Um, Last week, my guest was State President of the NAACP, Owens Brown. He said that there's a lot going on in the legislature right now. You all are pretty busy. It does affect right now the state of African Americans here in West Virginia, and that's what we want to talk about. Um, a part of me feels like we're under attack right now, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. I do have two things I want to talk about, two bills. And like I said, jump in anytime. Again, but I do have some questions. And again, if I'm wrong at any point, please correct me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Two things in particular, the Crown Act and the education bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Which education bill you're referring to? Because there's been a litany of them.
There's a whole bunch.
A whole bunch of them? We can talk about it, or we can just condense it down. But I'm leaving it in your hands because you're the chairman, right?
Yes, sir. Minority chair.
Minority chair. Okay.
House chair.
Okay. Let's ladies first. Okay.
Always.
Let's talk. Let's talk about the Crown Act. All right.
I think we both can speak to this. Sean and I both can speak to this, but
Okay.
yes, definitely.
Well, let's dig into this. Delegate Walker, please explain to the viewers the Crown Act and its history.
So the Crown Act is to create a respectful and open world for natural hair. It is not gender specified, but it is a racial issue among Black and Brown community members. You are often scolded for wearing your natural hair. And in the land that we live in the country that we live in, having straight hair has been deemed as being good, passable, employable, clean, and it is an utter disrespect. Whether I want to wear fro, braids, locks, twist, whether I want to wear a wig, weave, extensions, we should all have the freedom and the choice to do that. As I cannot control, and many others cannot control, the coils that grow naturally from my scalp, the government should not be allowed to discriminate against that. Neither shall an employer, neither shall a landlord. So today, 2021 year, why are we still allowing something that is so small and minute to be discriminated against? We have athletes that are going through trauma because of their natural hair. See, you can choose to dye your hair. You can choose even the length of your hair. But there has always been a systemic part of racism when it came to Black people's hair, when we were slaves.
Mhm.
And so the Teon Act was when white women, who we refer to now as Karens, did not want to see the slave women's hair. So they made them tie up their hair. That is very near and dear to me. It has pushed the culture of wearing head wraps, something that was brought here from Africa. It is a part of who I am. But it depends on what part of town I go in, and it depends on what job I'm seeking, and it may depend on where I want to live if I'm going to walk out of my house with a head wrap on. That is disgusting. We also must understand the history of braiding. It used to be a map to freedom. And as I learn and I keep researching, I just learned a week ago that our hair was used as storage. See, when you were on that journey to freedom, people would part their hair and put seeds from beans or different plants in their hair. So if they would be caught while fleeing, no one would ever search their hair. Remember, our hair was demonic. It was something that we was criminalized on also. So this is not a female issue. This is a people's issue. And yes, it is to uplift the Black community.
Delegate Hornbuckle, jump in.
It's very, very tough to follow. I mean, Danny did a fabulous job of taking you through the origination of our culturally diverse hair and where that is today. So, I don't know if there's much that I can add to that besides that it's something that we need. It speaks to freedom and those types of issues. And it's also, in my opinion, it's a commerce bill. These are things that are not conducive to healthy commerce. And myself being somebody with a business background, a lot of times I'm going to fall on that side of the sword. It's just not good for business. So it doesn't make sense from a morality standpoint. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. So therefore, that's why we need the Crown Act in our state.
One thing in particular about the Crown Act, well, when it comes to women of color and their hair, women take it very seriously. And, you don't touch a Black woman's hair. I don't know if you watched How to Get Away with Murder. And Viola Davis, there was one episode, she was in the courtroom, I'm sorry, in the building, and a white woman was going to touch her hair. She's jerked back like this. And, it's very sacred. And, just again, that to me, a woman's hair does that's, it just makes up a lot of her character, her hair. What were you going to say, Delegate Hornbuckle?
Yes, and I want to also make sure, obviously, we're always going to uplift our Black queens, but it's beyond just a Black woman issue. As Danny pointed out earlier, it's a Black and brown issue, just of ethnic hair. Also men. I myself, I used to have locks,
Yeah.
and those were very, very dear to me. And funny story on, not funny at all, actually, but we'll just call it a story, is that I'm a person who, Danny knows, and you'll get to know me, Ray, I'm a fashion guy. So probably every 3 months, I'm changing up my look, whether it's a different haircut, a different facial hairstyling, or whatever it may be. I had long hair, started growing hair in 9th grade, had braids, then had braids in the first part of undergrad. Then when I got to be, I think, a junior in undergrad, that's when I locked it up and had that hairstyle, oh gosh, from probably 05 to maybe 12, maybe 11.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I kept my hair longer than I wanted to keep my hair. I wanted waves so bad, or to have a little baby fro with the taper. I'm not gonna get too much into that at the time or place. But I kept my hair probably a year and a half longer than what I actually wanted to, because I actually had, I'll keep them nameless, but I had Black people that were the old school telling me that I needed to cut my hair to get this job, that, and the third. And I was like, well, no, I'm smarter than every other applicant there, whether Black, white, yellow, brown, red, more talent than every other applicant there, white, yellow, brown, red. And so my hair shouldn't be an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, sir, that no, I'm not going to cut my hair to appease you or anyone else. And I'm going to get a job with my locks. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
To prove a point. But, having to go through that mentally, even have to be a thing that I have to prove to somebody that no matter what my hair looks like, that I'm more than qualified to carry out the duties of any job for that matter. We shouldn't have to go through that. So, I just want to make sure that it's not just a Black issue, it's an ethnic issue. It's not just a woman issue, it's an everyone issue.
We can go a step further and say it's religion. Rastafarian is a religion.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
We
sure
need to
is.
be mindful and we need to open ourselves up. If we're going to really promote DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, well, then we must be ready to put ourselves in some uncomfortable positions. And I don't want to hear diversity. I want to diversify. That's a verb. It's time for some actions.
And
Question,
gems.
what's that?
I said she's always dropping gems.
Yes, she does. Why do folks find it offensive for women of color to have their hair braided, in your opinion?
I think for just people of color, Ray, please stop saying women. That's please, because men wear their hair braided, children wear their hair braided,
Yes, they do.
and I see that even when children have diverse hairstyles, they can even come across those stigmas. When you have students in the school systems and the educators are asking them if they have a bad hair day, if they chose to take out those braids and wear their puffs, that's an implicit bias thing. And so I think because we associate braids with different types of braids. So you have your cornrow braids, you have your micro braids, you have your ornated braids that you usually see from movies from the motherland, right? But it allows us to be unique in who we are, whether we add beads, whether we have shells. Why is my crown? You won't grab my crown if I drop it. You won't fix my crown if it's crooked, but you want to lay some foundation down of what it should look like. So let's take that a little deeper since it's physical. Is your hair neat? Is your hair clean? Well, maybe this is the affordable way for me to keep both of those things going.
Yes.
We live in a state where we have no livable wage. We have parents, whether they're mothers or fathers, that has to work 2+ jobs, whether they have a son or a daughter, or whether they identify with the pronouns they and them. Braiding that child's hair, locking that child's hair can be not of convenience, but something affordable for that parent. It can be just something that is cultural for that parent. So I think because we are so gifted when it comes to hair, and because you feel that I change who I am when I have different hair, but that's a confidence booster for many black and brown people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think because you identify in having braids with possibly a horrible term of thug, that
Yes.
term that our governor likes to throw around so much.
Yes. One thing in particular about that, uh, Delegate Walker, um, about that thug term, there was an incident, I'm sorry, it was a wrestling match sometime last year. It was somewhere in the Midwest, and a young man, he was in a wrestling match. And they said that in order for him to maybe win or maybe wrestle, that he had to cut his locks. And again, that's pride right there, because again, and I had locks also before my son was born. A lot of people don't believe me, and but I took pride in it. And but the thing is, to let that go, you say, one would say, I put a lot of work into this. This is something I cherish, and I just hate to let it go. Yeah, I don't want to go this way. If I'm gonna let it go, let it go on my terms.
Mhm,
You follow me?
mhm.
Delegate Hornbuckle, jump in.
I mean, again, it's just an atrocity to even be having this conversation. Uh,
Yes.
so I mean, not to belabor the point, we've got to find allies. This is not in my opinion, again, it's not a partisan issue at all. It's just a people issue, and then we need to be addressing as such.
And I lift that up every time I get a chance. That bill originated last year on the House side and did not move. It was double referenced on last year. And I always give a big thank you to Senator Trump for originating that bill on the Senate side, passing it out of his committee, passing it on the floor of the Senate, coming back to the House to die.
Here's another question right here. Since the GOP is dead set against the Crown Act, what is an acceptable hairstyle? Have they ever said that?
I mean, I think I don't know. Go ahead, Sean.
I mean, I mean, no, I've never heard what might be an acceptable a hairstyle. And what I hear often is that it's unnecessary code or statute. But the fact is that we do have precedent, even in this great state of West Virginia, that it's been an issue. So I disagree respectfully that it's not an issue because it's happened, and we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again to anyone, especially our children.
Which employers here in West Virginia are dead set against the Crown Act? Do you know by any chance? Did anybody speak out on that? Any
Say it again.
Employers that
Employers.
are against the Crown Act. I can't speak of those who are against it, but I can say that Opportunity West Virginia signed on support last session. And the folks that are working hard with Senate Bill 108 and House Bill 2648 is trying to gain that same support in this session. So there is employers that absolutely allow freedoms within their companies. And maybe that's what we need to, every year you learn something different. So I think if we cross-reference those employees who are part of Chamber of Commerce and maybe some who is part of Opportunity West Virginia, because sometimes it's that gray area that can allow folks to see things in a different light. Is those companies like Toyota and American Waters? I don't know. I'm not from the Charleston area. I don't have that water company.
West Virginia American Water Company.
Yes, that just promote the diversity and really bring their employees and have these, I mean, it's phenomenal and it's refreshing. But there's areas in the state that doesn't have that type of support. That's why we want this simple bill so we can protect all Mountaineers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's all I got to say about it.
Hornbuckle?
Hey, she said it. We don't beat that dead horse today.
Let's talk about education.
Yeah, we're gonna move to education. Yeah, please. Oh gosh, I'm hearing so much about the education bills, and
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to keep track of them.
Mhm.
Delegate Hornbuckle, you are the minority leader. Give us the lowdown.
Yes, sir. So, the biggest two bills that we face right now, in my opinion, are the charter school bill and the Hope Scholarship bill. With all, again, due respect, I've labeled it the hoax scholarship. So traveling back with charter schools, and again, charter schools, if done properly and done in a way that is targeting the students in our state, that have historically had, low test scores, lower achieving districts, and you do it in such a way that it doesn't take money, siphon money off from the public education system, I'm okay with that. Now, the issue is that we currently have that, Ray. We have the innovation zone statute in our code. So what that allows is for a public school to apply to have we'll just say a different curriculum. So in my district in Huntington, West Virginia, we have the Explorer Academy, which is housed at the old Beverly Hills Middle School, and they do a phenomenal job with non-traditional curriculum. And people fawn over it and talk about how good it is. Well, folks, again, we already have this in code to be able to do it, because when you do that, you just convert the whole school. So there's no child that's left behind. You have a diversified population, again, all colors, shapes, and sizes. And it's a good policy. Again, it's achieving what we're thinking they want to do with, again, creating a different curriculum while also protecting the public education structure. Then moving on to ESAs, or the voucher program, which they call the Hope Scholarship, and we've dubbed it as Hope Scholarship. It siphons off approximately $4,670 of public education funding that falls to child. And then it comes in the form of a voucher that is paid directly to a vendor, whether it be a home school, a private school, or some type of vendor that's set up to the program that would administer supplies to those two entities. Again, the issue is, and it's sort of in conjunction with charter schools, our demographics isn't suitable to the way they're currently trying to push these pieces of legislation, i.e., the vast majority of our students belong in rural districts. There's about 13 counties that don't have any type of private school. So when you're talking about the voucher system, they're going to have an exponentially higher cost if they even wanted to go to a private school. So in fact, it's not giving them their favorite buzzwords choice, which is very clever on their part, but it doesn't give them choice because they're not actually able to attend those because they can't afford it. And then when we're looking at our students with IEPs, some of our most vulnerable mountaineers, they do not have a mechanism in place that guarantees that they're going to have the quality and quantity of services that currently our public education system provides and mandates that they have. So I just see there's too many gaps in it. And as always, I'm willing to work with anybody. Again, I can give a hootenanny about Democrat, Republican, whatever it comes down to. I always want to do the best for our students, first and foremost, our teachers, and obviously the parents of those children, or guardians, as we know that we have a lot of aunties, uncles, and grandparents that are taking care of our children right now. So I always want to keep them first. But if we're not, if the majority party's not willing to play ball, say, hey, you got this idea, but let's make sure that it's suitable for our state. And if you're not able to do that, it makes me question, what is the impetus of this? What's really behind this? So,
Delegate Walker.
Oh, I have so much to say about this. Charter schools. What is the history of charter schools? Brown versus the Board of Education. It is segregation. That's what a charter school will do in this state. And we already have that. So children with special needs will have to go through a totally different process. It's not guaranteed, even though it's a public charter school, that they will be able to abide by their child's 504 or IEP. They're not sure if they're going to provide transportation. They may offer food, but we don't know. So what is this? What is it really? Because you're telling me they don't have to put this in the application, and you refuse to allow amendments where they must do it in the application. And let's be real, this was a waste of taxpayers' money. Doing any amendments with this public charter school, I'm gonna keep it real. We had one applicant that was denied. So we went from having, what is it, Sean? A possibility of having 3 charter schools. And now we have the ability to have 10 charter schools. And they can even be virtual public charter schools, virtual. We had everybody knocking down the doors saying that their children was not being successful with virtual schools. So now you're going to allow a virtual charter school. Where they do that in? 2 + 2 = 4, and we are getting like a -100 West Virginia.
Mhm.
And I know I can do math because I'm educated through the public school system. What we could have been working on was maybe making sure that we have things in place so when the children do return to school for the trauma that they've been going through since they've been at home since this pandemic, maybe we could have had something with extra tutoring. Maybe we can allow counselors to really be counselors and teachers to be teachers. Maybe we could have allowed that flexibility instead of just keep pushing these tests in front of these educators and these students. Maybe we could have done that. Maybe we could have worked on broadband.
Delegate Hornbuckle, I have a question. Now, you mentioned earlier about ESA. Let the viewers know what this ESA stands for.
Educational savings accounts.
Okay.
So those is just jargon for vouchers. You know, essentially when the money falls to the student, then it's in an account that is that's earmarked for them, and then they spend it how they see fit within the parameters of the legislation, which again would be private school, homeschool, or a vendor that is accepted by the state to be able to disperse those funds to.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. Hold on. When we speak about the Hope Scholarship, which is it's a hoax in just the way that they named it, and we speak about these education spending accounts, and we speak about these vendors, my question was simple. Will those vendors have assistive technology for the students who has a special need? The vice chair of the committee could not answer my question on the floor. The attorney sitting on the side of him could not answer my question on the floor. So again, now you bring in discrimination for children with special needs, because you can't even tell me what an assistive technology are, but you're going to be the one chosen to be part of the committee to say who's going to be eligible to be a vendor in this state. I don't feel comfortable with that. And neither do parents with special needs children. Neither do special needs educators. So this is part of discrimination again. I mean, that's just the theme of West Virginia Legislature this year. Let's discriminate, let's divide, let's be decisive.
One thing in particular I have great concerns about when it comes to education is areas like McDowell County, Mercer County, down in the southern coalfields. And guys, let me tell you, you know, we can sit here, we can talk about Marshall this and WVU that, you know, who's the better school between the two. But I've always said this right here, before you get to that level, that post-secondary level, there's that foundation called grade school. And time after time, we've seen candidates for governor say, well, I'm going to do this, you know, down in that area, blah, 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 you know. And I'll tell you right now, I've been down that area about 4 years ago. And to go into McDowell County, it looked like you're in the bottom of a big bowl all around you. I mean, there are mountains all around you. And I was trying to find the school, and I couldn't find it. I mean, I saw a miniature Walmart, I saw a Dollar General, saw a Wendy's and Rite Aid, and old buildings. That's it. And my thought is, where's the push for education in this area? Because again, and we got to look after those kids also down there as well. We're going to have to. I mean, I've always come up with a solution where if you take, and of course, you know, you rank by county, like who's the best county on down. And let's say this right here. You take some tutors or teachers out of that area, work with students down in that area, help them bring their test scores up. And if they come up, then work on the next bottom. I mean, just bring it up. Because in the end, I mean, it would help the state as a whole. Because right now we're in the bottom when it comes to education here. And then we're looking at charter schools. That's an added bonus for disaster. Delegate Hornbuckle, tell me, I mean, will this affect Title I?
So I'm not sure if it'll affect Title I. That's something that we're currently reviewing with some of our legal counsel. I'm, not an attorney by trade, so I don't want to, put my foot in my mouth on something like that. But I will tell you that is something that we're reviewing right now. Obviously, if it, affects Title I, and I think it's a no-go from a legality standpoint. So not sure of that, but we do have people that are working to give a educated opinion on that.
So I want to give an uplifting and empowering and elevating the public school systems that we do have in the state. I came from the state of Louisiana, where my child sat in a classroom and just colored because he was a special needs student. We came to West Virginia, and these educators put in work. And that's something we don't promote in this state. We don't promote when we are doing things well. We don't do that, and it's very discouraging. We look at where we should be nationally, but we don't even have the population that you're putting us in this equation. And I don't think that that is fair to the education, the educators, the personnel, or the staff. Sean, do you agree on that?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
I said, I think that we need to uplift and elevate because we do have some positives in the public education system, and we never hear that. We always hear that we're dead last, but I mean, I'm a hoarder and I'm probably not, but I received a paper yesterday saying exactly where our numbers were in education. And I was proud that we have a 90% graduation rate. And those are the things that we should be elevating and uplifting, and it just goes unnoticed because you always see the attacks and that we need the charter schools and we need the ESAs, and it's not even about the education anymore, if I'm going to keep it real. It's about a retaliation because these educators, personnel are taking a stand for themselves. And because they are on the picket lines.
Okay.
That's what this is. It's I feel like it's a slap on the hand. It's a punishment. Oh, you wanted to do this and embarrass us? Well, now we're going to punish you for the next 2 years. Only ones that's going to suffer is our students.
When it comes to public funds, and correct me if I'm wrong, Delegate Hornbuckle, I believe 55% of the state revenues go towards education. Is that correct? Or did that change?
No.
Okay. So if we redirect, well, of course, I mean, public funds, it's my understanding that the Board of Education, they write the curriculum for that school district, correct?
Yeah, well, the state board has standards.
Okay.
Board has standards in the curriculum that the county shall follow, and it leaves it up to our local boards within the counties to be able to interpret that code set forth by the State Department and how they want to implement those standards within their curriculum.
So if they redirect funds to the private school, who has control of, I mean, who gets to say so then? Who makes the calls? I mean, still the state or private schools have
Well, I mean, at the end of the day,
protocol.
So it's also, I think that the biggest thing here is that those funds leave the public school system. They go to the private school system. When they go to the private school system, there isn't the oversight structure that is in the public school system. So one could make the very educated assumption that, and I think we have very fine private schools, at least in my neck of the woods, but there just isn't going to be that level of oversight there, nor guidelines that leaves, in my opinion, some gaps and holes for all the students to be able to succeed. So there within lies the problem.
Delegate Walker?
What is that, sir?
Your opinion.
And what was the question again? I'm sorry.
The question was, if this passed and public funds that would normally go towards education, if it's redirected to the private schools, should the private schools still have their say so as far as what they're going to teach and how they're going to teach, or should the state?
I mean, that's going to be towards the parents. That's what they keep saying, that this is a choice. I want my educational freedoms, and it shouldn't come at the expense of placing a knee on the neck of public education.
Yeah, and and I think as I'm hearing that question for the second time, I heard it in a different way.
Mhm.
I think that's the rub, or part of the rub, because I do not think that a private school should have to be regulated in the same manner. Therefore, we shouldn't be commingling funds to the private school. Again, I think for what it's worth, the private school system does an adequate job in how they administer their education product. All right, I have no qualms with that. But again, if you, like you say, if you taking the money from the taxpayer, from the public school system, it would only make sense that you would have oversight there as you do in a normal public school setting. But again, I don't think that's the answer. So it doesn't make sense to throw those funds there, because then logistically, one would probably make a very, very valid legal argument that you probably should have, again, the public school oversight there. I think they're two separate entities. I think they both, do well at their specific expertise in delivering an education. That's why it should be separate.
Last question. Has the governor made any comments about this bill?
I specifically have not heard that, and I know the governor right now, he's honed in on that income tax. So it's going to be hard to get Governor Justice to probably focus on anything other than that currently. So to my knowledge, he has not commented on what we're currently doing in the public education sphere.
All right. Before I wrap it up, Delegate Walker, give me your last parting shot.
This is what I have to tell the people of West Virginia. Because the Capitol building is closed, that doesn't mean that the steps are not closed. That's open. That is still the people's house. You have some delegates and some elected officials. If you request a meeting with us, we will send an email to Capitol Police. We will let them know your name, where you're coming to meet, how long you're going to be in that building. So I am available. I'm not a part-time delegate. So let's continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. Let's stop the rhetoric that we are the super minority. I've been that way for 44 years. And I stayed. I rebuild. And I think that I'm being quite successful. It's my second term because of the people. So let's keep that. Every time you see a bill, I want you to ask yourself two questions. Who is this hurting and who is this helping? Thank you.
Delegate Hornbuckle.
She said it, who is it helping, who is it hurting? Make sure that you clearly understand that we are open to you. This is your house. We are your legislators, and it's run by you all. So never be shy on, shooting us an email, calling the office. At times it's very, very busy, as you very well know. We might not get to you today, we might not get to you tomorrow, but we will get back to you. And we will make sure that you're heard, and just be a part of the process. Understand that this COVID deal is only temporary. And, one of the best lessons that I learned, got to watch it up close, back when I first got in, and continued on into Danny's first term, were the strikes from the teachers. And, they started a revolution across America because they literally came and held people's feet to the fire. And I don't think that we made enough strides in that arena of education. first and foremost, and just adding respect to the profession of education, and making sure that we make them whole with their the way they're compensated. However, into making sure that we're providing more for them. And it would not have happened if they didn't come up here and knock on doors and be seen and be heard. So never think that your voice is too little or too small. Everybody matters. And when you do hold all of us as lawmakers, our feet to the fire, then you'll start to see gains. Sometimes it's just disheartening when we hear, especially in a lot of communities of color, that my vote doesn't count and it doesn't matter. Well, no, it does matter. And if you play into that, that's the product that you want to receive. That's what they want you to think a lot of times. You matter. Again, be heard, be seen. We're here for you. And however we can help, we will.
Guys, thank you very much for joining. Again, and the purpose of our voices, again, is to get it out to the public, because a lot of times the public don't know what's going on, and they find out after the fact. And of course, they should voice their opinion. And Delegate Walker, you say that they should call, if they want to talk to you, if they want to voice their opinion, who else should they call? The Speaker of the House?
Their legislators. They should call the people that's representing them.
Okay.
And it takes some education. There's a lot of nonprofits out there that's assisting. Like last night, I participated with the Delta's Building Democracy event. They're going to keep that repetition going, where they went into the system and showed people, where do you go to find your delegates? Where do you go to find your senators? This is their bio. See if you have some interest. Make these folks accountable. They campaign so they could earn your vote. Now they need to earn the right to stay there before you give them a pink slip. Okay. That needs to be your attitude. You are the employer. You have the power, people power.
And I would like to charge everyone with a task for the weekend, is to go on our website, WV Legislature.gov. And it's going to take some time because there's a lot of things, moving parts on there. But familiarize yourself with that website. That is the best tool. It's an underused resource, quite frankly. But you can find out what's going on there. You can find out every single committee, what bills they're taking up, what they're not taking up. You can look up whether it's your delegate senator or someone else's, look at what type of bills that they're pushing, they're promoting, see what they're all about. You can listen in to committees. You can watch our floor session. But if you go to WVLegislature.gov, you can tune in and you can find out what's happening in your house, the people's house.
Okay. Hey, I want to bring y'all back later, again, as we talk about more stuff. Delegate Hornbuckle, one last question. That lapel pin, what is that?
It's the state of West Virginia.
Okay.
It's the state. I've been running around a bit, Ray, so it got knocked a little bit. Okay. But it's up.
I was wondering if you pledged fraternity.
Oh no, but my late Uncle Keith Hornbuckle, aka Dr. Doom, he was a Kappa. I had a lot of friends to try to get me to cross to be an Alpha when I was undergrad. I didn't. I wasn't part of a fraternity. Just at the time, the timing wasn't right for me. But if I would have been, I would have been an Alpha or a Kappa, but probably because of the legacy, I probably had a cane in my hand. You know what I mean?
I see that.
There you go. I mean, it's never too late.
Never too late.
You don't want to join the Boy Scout troop, but it's all right. It's all good. Hey guys,
are you an Alpha man?
Don't you insult me like that? Crimson and cream. It's the only way to go.
All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page now, right? Yeah. Don't bite my head.
No, it's bad enough you're a Dallas fan, but I'll teach you. I'll teach you.
Good luck with Big Ben.
Hey guys, thank you very much. And y'all take care. All right, hold on. Okay?
Appreciate you, Ray.
All right.
Thank you.